Hi, welcome to this After Effects tutorial on text animation. In this video, we'll be covering the basics of animating text in After Effects, and by the end of this tutorial, you'll have a solid understanding of how to create professional quality text animations. So let's get started. If this is your first time working in After Effects, it might be a good idea to familiarize yourself with the workspace. There are different panels in After Effects that are important in their own right. The one we want to focus on right now is the composition panel. So before we create anything, we'll need to create a new composition. We'll name this one rotation effect because that's the first effect that we'll be covering. And then we can set the resolution to 1920 by 1080, make it 30 frames per second, and hit OK. Now moving on to step 2, which is actually animating the text. So you can navigate to the toolbar in the top left-hand corner, click the text button, then click inside the composition panel to type in the text that you want to animate. We'll just type in rotation as an example. I'm going to use the align section right here just to center this text. Then we want to navigate to the text layer, open it up, hit this arrow next to where it says animate, and hit enable per character 3D. This animate section here is really important. You can mix and match different effects to get really unique animations. So now I'm just going to add an opacity effect and a rotation effect. So now we need to add what are called keyframes to this animation, so it actually moves. Keyframes are one of the most important aspects of any text animation in After Effects. You'll use them to set the starting and ending values for your animation, as well as control how the animation progresses over time. So for example, if I want my text to fade in and out at certain points, I can do that within the animator section of the timeline panel. So I'm going to make a keyframe on that point of the timeline by clicking the stopwatch icon to the left of where it says Y rotation. And I put the Y rotation on 90 degrees, and then I'm going to go forward 1 second on the timeline. That's when I want the animation to be fully complete. So I'm going to go back to the Y rotation and set that back to 0. And then you can already see the effect starting to take shape, but I'm going to do the same thing for the opacity so the text fades in as well. So I'll make the keyframe, I'll start the opacity at 0, I'll bring it forward 1 second, and then go back and then set the opacity on this keyframe to 100. And then this is the final effect that we're left with. The next text animation I want to show you is the one I primarily used for this video. It's the exact same concept as before, but with different effects. So again, we'll create our text, and I'm going to align it to the center just for convenience sake. The animation options I chose in this case were the position and the opacity options. So now I'm just going to set my keyframes for both of those. I'm going to set the starting position keyframe on 70 and then the starting opacity keyframe on 0. But this time, I'm also going to go into the range selector and select a keyframe for the offset. So we'll go to the 1 second mark, I'll put it at 100% here, and then I'll go back to the 0 second mark, and I'm actually going to put this all the way back to -100%. And again, you can already see the effect starting to take place on these letters here, with each letter moving up individually instead of all together. But I'm going to go ahead into the advanced setting, and where it says shape, I'm going to set that to ramp up. And then I'm going to set the ease high to 30% and then the ease low to 100%. And now we have this super cool effect here where the letters smoothly fade in and then up, and then there's a slight bounce to them as well. So if this is your first time in After Effects, you should definitely play around with these effects because you can get some great unique ones. But now we'll move on to our next step, which is actually using the effects panel. So if you navigate to the top right-hand side here, you'll see this section that says effects and presets. So After Effects has a lot of really cool built-in effects if you don't want to create your own. For example, we'll put this block dissolve effect on the text that we just created. So we can just drag and drop it onto the specific area of the timeline, and then we're going to set our keyframes for this effect as well. And we can do that right here in the effects panel. And then we can see it take shape here. So the text slowly dissolves out. And here's the entire effect. And And you can also play with the time of it as well if you want it to dissolve faster or slower. In addition to animating text, you can also use After Effects to animate shapes. This can be a great way to create more complex text animations, as you can use shapes to put behind words, similar to a card effect, or even animate shapes around words. Here I grabbed the rectangle tool from the toolbar on the left-hand side. I created the shape, I set the fill and the stroke on the shape, and now the keyframes that I'm going to add are going to be for the anchor point and the opacity. So the rectangle slides up and fades in. This would look great behind a text animation as well. I'm also going to set another opacity keyframe so this shape slowly fades out. And this is the final effect that we're left with. Once you've finished your text animation, the final step is to export it. After Effects has a variety of export options, including video formats, image sequences, and even animated GIFs. You can also save this project as an After Effects file and import it into Premiere Pro to add onto your other footage, which we'll do right now. So the only thing I had to do was save the project as an After Effects file to somewhere on my computer's hard drive, and then I just need to drag and drop it into the Premiere Pro sequence. You'll be prompted with this pop-up to confirm that this is the correct composition, and then you just click it and hit OK. Now you can drag and drop your animation into your project timeline and add it on top of any footage you'd like. I hope this tutorial has given you a good introduction to animating text in After Effects, and with a little bit of practice, you'll be able to create high-quality professional text animations like these in no time. Thanks for watching and happy animating.